Mario Kart World already has a ton of content with so many characters, 30 tracks, and just a straight up open world. But who said I didn't want more from this game? Obviously, I'm satisfied with what we got with this game. I think this game's gonna be great regardless, but I thought it'd be fun, whether or not it's DLC, to think of tracks I'd like to see in this game. So today, in this video, I'll be giving 15 tracks we need to see in Mario Kart World. With that being said, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Christendo, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel as it helps me out a ton. In the last video, we got a total of 0 new subscribers to the channel, so let's see if we can top that with this one. While you're at it, if you want to talk to me and others about all things Nintendo, consider joining the Chris Discord server. The link is down in the description. Now let's get into the first track that I want to see in this game, being Donut Plains from Super Mario Kart. I know it's weird to say that I want a Super Mario Kart track in this game, and honestly I don't, but when it came to my picks for this video, I wanted to kind of spread out what games I choose from and make it a little bit equal between all the games, as I could really easily come up with tracks from Mario Kart Double Dash, DS, Wii, and 7, and that could fill my list. But with this list of 15 tracks, I wanted to spread it out across the entire series. So when it comes to Donut Plains, it's the only Super Mario Kart track that we don't see in this game outside of a Rainbow Road track and a Bowser Castle track. We just got Bowser Castle 3 in the Booster Course Pass in 2023, so we've had a SNES Bowser Castle really recently, and on top of that, we've had Super Mario Kart's Rainbow Road in the last 2 Mario Kart games, so we don't need it again here. This one could definitely be interesting as well, because just like the other Super Mario Kart tracks in this game, I could see all 3 of the variants being combined into one track, and honestly, that'd be pretty cool. The next 2 tracks come from Mario Kart 64, with track number 2 being Sherbet Land. This one might be a bit of a weird one to want to return, because a lot of people aren't a fan of this track, but honestly, when it comes to this game, they seem to be taking a lot of the tracks that people aren't super fond of and making them better. Just look at Desert Hills or Sky High Sunday for an example. They are tracks that people don't really like, and despite that, they look to be at least a little bit better than their original. When it comes to Sherbet Land, I was honestly never against this track. I actually thought it was pretty decent in Mario Kart Wii. That might be a hot take, but that's just how I feel about it. I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but it wasn't horrible. But just seeing this track see the light of day again would be really cool, and in this list, I need to have at least one snow track, so N64 Sherbet Land is my go-to. My Mario Kart Wii bias definitely stands here with the next Mario Kart 64 track, as I choose DK's Jungle Parkway. This was a track in Mario Kart Wii as a retro track. I feel like out of all of the DK tracks in the Mario Kart series, this is definitely the one that people overlook and just don't remember. So letting this track see the light of day again would honestly be really nice. Our next game is Mario Kart Super Circuit, and obviously just like Mario Kart 64, we have 2 tracks from this, with track number 4 being Lakeside Park. This track got a really good remake in Mario Kart Tour, where obviously there's elevation changes, and the volcano actually was a pretty good threat, where it would drop molten rocks onto the track, and honestly, I would like to see that translated here. I think it would fit really well with this game, because, you know, it doesn't necessarily take place in a volcano like Grumble Volcano from Mario Kart Wii does, but there's a backdrop with a volcano, and the volcano is present as a hazard for the track, and it just hasn't been remade outside of Mario Kart Tour, so honestly, it would be really cool to see this track return. Track 5 again from Super Circuit as well is Rainbow Road. You might be like, why do you choose this Rainbow Road out of all of them? But my answer is because honestly, I'm surprised this one isn't in the game, at least as far as we know. It could be, but I don't think it is. When it comes to the Mario Kart Rainbow Roads, there's only a couple left that haven't been remade, being GBA, GCN, and DS, and obviously Mario Kart 8, because, well, Mario Kart 8 was the last Mario Kart game before World. But if we take into account that Super Mario Kart's Rainbow Road was remade in Mario Kart 7, and Mario Kart 64's was remade in Mario Kart 8, this one's next in line. So honestly, while I'm not the biggest fan of this one, it's still a track I would like to see return, because they could do so much with this track, especially if they go as crazy with the GBA tracks as they did in Mario Kart 8. Number 6 is from Mario Kart Double Dash, and this one is a track that a lot of people seem to think need to come back, and this is Wario Colosseum. Honestly, with the 24 racer count, I'm surprised that this track didn't come back. It's one of the bigger tracks from Mario Kart Double Dash, and honestly just one of the bigger tracks in the Mario Kart series. So the fact that this one didn't return while we have more racers and need larger tracks is honestly baffling. This track was a lot of fun in Mario Kart Double Dash. It was a nice challenge, and I really appreciate that. And while you could be like, we have Wario Stadium already from Mario Kart 64, what's wrong with another Wario Stadium type track? I don't see a problem with that. Number 7 also comes from Mario Kart Double Dash, being Mushroom Bridge and City. I combined these 2 together because honestly, I could see these 2 working together. Maybe you could start out in the Mushroom Bridge area where the track is a bit easier to start, and you take the bridge to get into Mushroom City, and then from there, the next 2 laps are in Mushroom City. I feel like that, especially with these 2 sharing music and them being Mushroom City related tracks, they could definitely do what they did with the Super Mario Kart tracks in this game and combine these 2 together. Even though they're completely different tracks, I can still see them working out together. And honestly, even if we just got one of them, I would be super happy to see either Mushroom Bridge or Mushroom City again. Number 8 gets a little more tropical with Delfino Square from Mario Kart DS. And honestly, I just really like this track. This track obviously takes place in Delfino Square, and this is just a nice little like town next to the ocean, and honestly, I would just love to have this kind of vibe in the Mario Kart track again. We don't really have that vibe in a Mario Kart track, and the track layout is just really good. I love flying off of the giant bridge. That's a lot of fun, and just seeing this return in an HD Mario Kart because it hasn't returned since Mario Kart Wii would honestly be really sick. On the same lines, we have Luigi's Mansion, and I mostly chose this track because 1, I love this track in Mario Kart DS. This is one of the greatest tracks in Mario Kart DS, and 2, because we need a ghost track in this selection. I could have said a track like Waluigi Pinball or TikTok Clock or just one of the other fan favorite tracks, but I chose this one over those because obviously the latter were in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, whether it was in the base game or in the Booster Course Pass. This track was, as I mentioned, really great in Mario Kart DS. I really liked the haunted nature of it. You know, it felt pretty eerie, so just seeing this one return would be great. Number 10 is Dry Ruins from Mario Kart Wii, and I chose this one because honestly, there's not a lot of Mario Kart Wii tracks that haven't been remade yet. Yes, this track was remade in Mario Kart Tour, but if we don't count Mario Kart Tour, this is one of the few that haven't returned. I know people aren't a huge fan of the desert themings, which is why I chose one of the more interesting ones, and honestly, this track was just good in Mario Kart Wii. It was a unique desert track, which we definitely need, especially since like we got desert hills. I mean, this track looks like it'll be fine in Mario Kart World, but at the same time, it is desert hills. It's one of the most least interesting desert tracks in the entire series, and that's a low bar. So bringing back one of the best desert tracks, or if not the best desert track, I just think it's a necessity. On the topic of Mario Kart Wii tracks that have never been remade, number 11 is Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart Wii. This might be my nostalgia speaking, but this is probably the best Bowser's Castle track. As you could tell with me having a Rainbow Road and Bowser's Castle track, I wanted to stick to the theming of if there is DLC for this game, which we'll say that this list is DLC. I want to have a Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road to end it off. So I think that choosing Wii's Bowser Castle over any other ones just makes sense because, like I said, this is a fan favorite track, not just from Mario Kart Wii, but just in general, because this is, if I'm not mistaken, the fan favorite Bowser's Castle track. So you know what? Why not bring it back? Track number 12 is Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 7. I know we don't like the Mario Circuit tracks. They're boring, they're pretty generic, but like I said, I'm gonna be bringing back at least one track from most of the themes that we see throughout every Mario Kart game. So I think bringing back 3DS Mario Circuit out of all of them is the best option. It's the most interesting because obviously you go through Peach's castle in there. It has the cherry blossom trees, which make it stand out a little bit more, and it's just a bit more interesting design-wise, where it's a bit more difficult, at least in terms of a Mario Circuit track. So if we're gonna bring back a Mario Circuit track in Mario Kart World and DLC, I think the best option here is Mario Kart 7. If you disagree though, let me know down in the comments. Track number 13 is Rock Mountain from Mario Kart 7, and you might be like, this track was already in the Booster Course Pass, why are we bringing it back here? And that's because this track wasn't done justice. This track in Mario Kart 7 was one of the best looking tracks in the game. It looked stunning for the 3DS game. And the fact that in the Booster Course Pass, it's one of the most cartoony looking tracks is such a downgrade from the original. With this being on the Switch 2, and the Switch 2 just having more power than the original Switch, I would love to see this track get the remake it deserves and return in Mario Kart World as one of probably the best looking tracks in the entire game. When it comes to the next two tracks, I chose one from each of their games respectively, with number 14 being Sunshine Airport from Mario Kart 8. When it came to choosing a Mario Kart 8 track, I wanted to choose one of the ones that people like the most because there's not going to be much that they change with the Mario Kart 8 track, and I also wanted to take into account the anti-gravity removal and not being able to drive underwater. So I think out of all the options, the best one we got here is Sunshine Airport. When you look at the layout, it doesn't really require anti-gravity. Sure, there's that one like little arch that goes in the sky, but honestly, you don't need anti-gravity for that. And like I said, this is just one of the fan favorite tracks from Mario Kart 8. So if they brought this one back, I don't think anyone would be complaining. And the last track, number 15, is of course Piranha Plant Pipeline. This was the only track from Mario Kart Tour that never appeared in the Booster Course Pass, which is honestly kind of baffling. So letting it get the justice it deserves and letting it be available in a game outside of just 2 weeks and the entire year, I just think this track deserves that. This track has been neglected so much by Nintendo. They chose Sky High Sunday, the worst Mario Kart Tour track, over it, and it's stuck on a mobile game and is only able to be played 2 weeks out of the entire year. That's just crazy. So you know what, Nintendo? You're gonna bring back any of the tracks I mentioned in this video. This is the one you have to bring back. Justice for Piranha Plant Pipeline. But with that, that's 15 tracks I would love to see return in Mario Kart World. Is there any tracks that I didn't mention that you would like to see return in Mario Kart World? If that is the case, please let me know down in the comments and tell me what track you want to see a return, and also tell me why. I would love to hear your reasoning as to why you would love to see Toad Circuit return again for Mario Kart World. With that being said though, that's it for this one, but if you want to see another video by me, there's a video on screen now where I give 15 costume ideas for Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I think you'll enjoy that video. With that being said, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Chris Tendo, signing off, and as always, goodbye, Nub Nation.